Hi everyone, Scott Lewis here for Wirefly. Today I'm here to bring you a cell phone smackdown between two of the hottest phones in the courtroom and out of the courtroom. Today we have the Samsung Galaxy S3 versus Apple's brand new iPhone 5. I don't think Apple liked it when the Galaxy S3 broke its sales records, although the iPhone 5 is selling quite well right now. These are absolutely the two biggest heavyweights in the cell phone industry right now. Let's go ahead and talk about the design of these two great phones. In my opinion, it looks like Samsung and Apple went two different ways when they were designing their phone. During the Apple conference, Apple kept talking about the single thumb texting and navigation of their iPhone 5, where Samsung has a little bit larger display. It has a 4.8-inch display versus the 4-inch display. So to me that says Samsung is designing a phone that they're going for maximum size of screen, and they're okay with having two different hands navigating the phone. Now that's a little different than Apple's theory about having it nice and slim, so that you can use one hand to navigate through the phone. They both have very solid pixel densities and very solid displays. They are a little bit different displays. The Super AMOLED display on the Samsung has a screen resolution of 720 by 1280 versus the iPhone 5's 640 by 1136 screen resolution. The iPhone 5 is using Apple's Retina display with an overall pixel density of 326 pixels per inch. The Galaxy S3 has 306 pixels per inch. As you may have already heard, and kind of the reason they call it a Retina display, is anything over around 300 pixels per inch, the human eye can't really tell a difference. So looking at pixel density, you're really not going to notice a difference between the Galaxy S3 or the iPhone 5. Now what you will tell a difference of is the Super AMOLED display versus an LCD display. The Super AMOLED display is going to have a little richer tone to it, but you'll see that an LCD is going to have a little bit truer color. So it's almost like the Super AMOLED display enhances the colors a little bit, where if you want true color, it's going to be more realistic on the LCD display. Let's go ahead and compare these phones side by side and take a look at some different height and thicknesses. So the iPhone 5 has a thickness of 7.6 millimeters, where the Galaxy S3 is 8.6 millimeters. So 1 full millimeter thicker on the Galaxy S3 than the iPhone 5. I will say that the curved design of the Galaxy S3 makes it a little bit easier to hold in your hand than the very sharp corners of the iPhone 5. The curved design of the Galaxy S3 gives it an elusive feel, so you don't notice that you're holding such a large phone. Now overall weight on the two phones, so the Galaxy S3 is weighing 4.7 ounces versus the iPhone 5 at 3.95 ounces. Some of that difference is going to be because of the battery. The iPhone 5 has a 1,440 milliamp hour battery versus the Galaxy S3's 2,100 milliamp hour battery. Now immediately you think the Galaxy S3 is going to last longer because it has a bigger battery, but in my personal experience, an Android phone generally goes through battery a little bit quicker than an Apple product. A lot of that has to do though with the added benefits of the Android phone. You'll have widgets running in the background which cause it to constantly communicate with the network, so it does go through battery a little bit quicker, but it does have your information available for you with one touch, and I really like widgets on the Galaxy S3 and all Android phones. So I think that's a major plus for the Galaxy S3. Let's go through a couple tech specs real quick on each phone. The Galaxy S3 has a dual-core 1.5 GHz Snapdragon S4 processor, where the new iPhone 5 has Apple's A6 processor, which is a dual-core processor at around 1 GHz. The Galaxy S3 has 2 GB of processor RAM versus the 1 GB of processor RAM that the iPhone 5 has. And then for built-in storage, you have some options. The iPhone 5, you have a 16, 32, or 64 GB option, where the Galaxy S3 has a 32 or 64 GB option. Another great benefit for the Galaxy S3 is the fact that it has an option for additional storage. You can add up to a 64 GB micro SD card underneath the back battery cover. There's not a spot to expand onboard memory on the iPhone 5, but it does have the iCloud option. And you also have cloud-based services, so I really won't consider any kind of iCloud or cloud-based storage a benefit to either one because they're an option on both of them. Now looking at both phones, they both have front-facing cameras. They have a 1.9 megapixel front-facing camera on the Galaxy S3 versus the 1.2 megapixel front-facing camera on the iPhone 5. They both have 8 megapixel rear-facing cameras with LED flash that will also take video in true high definition. They both record in 1080p high definition at 30 frames per second. Both of these phones are great for browsing the internet, so one of the main features of an Android phone over an Apple product is the fact that you have flash compatibility on the Galaxy S3. Both of the phones will be fine running HTML and HTML5 websites, but the iPhone 5 runs into a problem with anything that has flash on it. It's been a stance for a while that Apple won't allow anything that plays flash on their phone. We've seen some differences between these two phones in our Schmackdown today. We've also noticed that they are very similar in a lot of different ways in a lot of their specs. Some of the specs on the Galaxy S3 might be a little bit better, but the efficiency of the iPhone 5's operating system allows it to run just as fast. So if I was going to call a winner today, I would call the Galaxy S3 the winner. I like the large 4.8-inch display. I like the Super AMOLED display better than the iPhone's LCD Retina display. I like having the option to add additional onboard storage on the Galaxy S3. And I like the ability to watch Flash video on the Galaxy S3. But what the Schmackdown really comes down to is, do you like the Android operating system, or do you like Apple's iOS operating system? In my opinion, the Android operating system, through the evolution of gingerbread ice cream sandwich, and now even when you get to Jelly Bean, which is Android 4.1, you'll notice that it got a lot more user-friendly. It's not exclusively for the tech geek anymore. It's very user-friendly. I really like the option to have widgets, placing your icons and applications where you'd like, versus Apple's, it automatically sorts them. You can move them around, but you can't put one down here in an empty space because that's where you want it. It has to stay in line. I would love to hear what our YouTube viewers have to say about our Schmackdown today. Are you a Samsung Galaxy S3 Android person, or are you an Apple iOS person that really likes the new design of the iPhone 5? Please leave your comments here on our Wirefly YouTube channel, but make sure to keep them appropriate. If you have any questions on the Galaxy S3 or the Apple iPhone 5, you're more than welcome to also leave those here on our Wirefly YouTube channel, and I'll try and answer them for you. My name's Scott Lewis for Wirefly. Thanks for watching.